try to put sparkly stuff on my skin so I have sparkly skin.
No, that's just my bling.
I like went overboard with the white. I'm so fucking white. Holy shit, I look like a ghost. Hello everybody, it's me, Edward Cullen. Can't you tell? I'm very sexy. Look at my hair, it's very luscious. Twilight. Everybody's favorite movies to hate or love, you know? I feel like most people are like either whatever about it nowadays or they love it. I think I lean more on the, whatever. But my wife, she loves it.
I love this.
So I sat her down and we watched them together and I recorded our reactions to them.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. That's why this is your favorite one.
Throughout this video, you'll see me and my wife reacting to these movies. There's a lot of content that was cut from this video because we either deemed it superfluous.
Hi, I'm Jacob.
Or it would just make this video too long, what have you. You can find all of that content over on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/Elvis the Alien. The link will be in the description.
Forks.
Yes, Forks, Washington.
Where do the werewolves live? Spoon?
Not funny.
Off to a good start with the commentary.
Who hasn't talked about Twilight, you know? I feel like I'm the only person that reviews movies that hasn't talked about Twilight yet, so I felt like it was about time. So let's start with the first movie. It's just called Twilight. I always thought it was kind of weird that these movies were called like the Twilight movies or the Twilight Saga when only one of them is actually called Twilight. Anyway, with a budget of $37 million and theatrical release gross of $408 million, I mean, a full series of movies was just a given after that. Although it does have a Rotten Tomatoes score of 48%, but the audience score is 72. So it's just one of those franchises that like critics aren't that fond of, but the general audiences love for the most part.
So let's start our Twilight discussion. It sucked.
The film broke the opening weekend box office record for a film with a female director. After beating out Van Helsing, Twilight became the then highest grossing vampire film of all time. This is the only entry in the entire Twilight saga of films not to be nominated for a Razzie. Not sure if that's a terrible thing, if I'm honest. A year before the hit book was published in 2005, an unpublished manuscript fell into the hands of Paramount's MTV Films division, and it was quickly decided that they would adapt the novel into a feature-length film. They hired Mark Lord to pen a script. Lord originally wanted to write something along the lines of Romeo and Juliet, but with vampires, but he was pressured by MTV, who were more concerned about losing the male demographic from an emphasis on romance, to include more action. This resulted in a script that featured Bella using profanity, being a long-distance runner, riding jet skis in a chase scene with the FBI, and using shotguns against vampires who murdered her father.
Bella, what do you think?
I thought they were all pretty.
You're not really into this, are you?
Author Stephanie Meyer had a few thoughts on these drastic changes, saying they could have filmed it and not called it Twilight, because it had nothing to do with the book, and that's kind of frightening. Paramount later lost confidence in the project, resulting in their ownership of the rights expiring in 2007. Summit Entertainment, who had been eyeing the property for a while, bought the film rights the same year, and set out to make a film much more faithful to the novel than the script Lord wrote a few years prior. Before the film adaptation even started pre-production, Stephanie Meyer had desired Emily Browning and Henry Cavill to play the two leads. I feel like with those two actors, it would have been a much different movie. Jennifer Lawrence and Lily Collins screen tested for the role of Bella. Frances Bean Cobain, daughter of Kurt Cobain, was offered the chance to audition, but declined. Robert Pattinson competed against Shiloh Fernandez, Ben Barnes, and eventual Twilight co-star Jackson Rathbone. Pattinson wasn't the first choice, but his screen test with Stewart, where he kissed her and fell off Hardwick's own bed, changed the director's mind. Hardwick had said this as to why she cast Pattinson. He had been fired from his last job. He was unemployed. He was in debt. I have footage of their first meeting at my dining room table. Kristen was like, it's got to be Rob. She felt connected to him from the first moment. That electricity or love at first sight or whatever it is. Although she made him make an agreement. She said to him, you've got to realize that Kristen is 17 years old. She's underage. You've got to focus, dude, or you're going to be arrested. She made him swear on a stack of Bibles.
You're like 47.
Before watching these movies again, I didn't remember Edward being such an asshole in the first movie.
You at least watch where you walk.
He's constantly staring at people super awkwardly.
Look at him, he's just staring at her.
Do you know why?
Chill, bro.
He can't read her thoughts.
Oh. Oh my god, weirdo.
I get it, he's a vampire and he feels kind of awkward, but like, isn't his job to blend in? He's doing anything but blending in. During the scene where Edward catches the apple and returns it to Bella, which recreates the source material's cover art, by the way, she proceeds to walk around the salad bar, but she no longer has the apple in her bowl. Where'd the apple go, dude?
I do kind of like it, because if you know the book cover, you got it for like 1/8 of a second.
If he wasn't hot, nobody would be okay with what he's doing in this movie.
Oh my god, his blow-dried hair.
Like, he has crazy hot people privilege. Taylor Lautner was told he'd play Jacob for the first film only, as the character undergoes a drastic physical change in the first sequel, and the producers intended to recast the role with an older, much more muscular actor. Determined to keep his part, the actor trained extensively and put on around 30 pounds of muscle after the first film completed, and succeeded at his goal, securing a greatly expanded role in all of the subsequent films, wherein he very rarely wears a shirt.
Doesn't he own a shirt? I am hotter than you.
I also think it's pretty lame that vampires in the Twilight universe aren't affected by the sun. Well, they are, kind of, like glitter in the sunlight, so people might think that's kind of weird. But is that really a huge detriment? Apparently, the Cullens chose Washington because it's so rainy and overcast all the time that the sun doesn't make them look weird when they go out during the day.
So dumb that like, oh, this place in particular is overcast every single day.
It actually is, though, in Forks, Washington.
What?
Yeah, every day.
No way.
Except for where his house is, because it's the only place they can be their true selves.
What the fuck ever, man.
It's its own unique story. Take your judgments elsewhere.
All right. While makeup was used for the pale skin of the vampires, the cast portraying them also avoided sunlight. Golden contact lenses were used to give the Cullens their unique eye color. They switched to black contacts to help visually depict when the vampires were hungry.
Hey, did you get contacts?
No.
Your eyes were black the last time I saw you, and
Yeah, I know. It's the
Fluorescence.
fluorescence.
Just leaves. No explanation.
And now for a quick word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Uncommon Goods. Uncommon Goods is a curated marketplace that I love. It's known for original handmade and meaningful gifts. They partner with independent artists and small businesses to provide a wide variety of high quality, often customizable products that stand out from traditional retail. Uncommon Goods is one of those websites that you might not know about, but if you do know about, it's a perfect place to find gifts for people, especially during this time of year. No matter what your passion is, they definitely have something over there for you. Before getting stuff for my family, I treated myself to 2 gifts, and if you love movies as much as I do, then you might like these as well. The first is a 100 movies bucket list scratch book. Whoever made this is ingenious. I love it. This book gives you 100 movies to scratch off your bucket list. They're movies that everybody should see, like 12 Angry Men, Blade Runner, Clockwork Orange, stuff like that. And the way it's put together is so fun. Here's a page for Pulp Fiction. They give you a quote from the movie on the right side. After watching it, you put your rating, like it's Letterboxd or something. They give you a fun fact about the movie, and then there's a place down here where you can write your review. Over time, you can fill out this entire book and then look back on it, and it's just a fun little memento. The second thing I got is Poorly Explained Movies Holiday Edition. It's a fun little card game about identifying movies from the worst descriptions ever. Let's do one together right now. Let's see. A teacher is fired for taking a student on a field trip. You have 5 seconds to answer. 5, 4, 3. It's The Holdovers, which is an incredible movie, by the way, so go watch it if you haven't. Here's another one. A kid has terrible taste in Christmas trees. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the answer is A Charlie Brown Christmas. Whether you're shopping for your Secret Santa or your entire family, Uncommon Goods knows exactly what they want. They have such a massive selection of fun and unique gifts that it would be impossible not to find something that your family members will love. So yeah, if you're looking for gifts for someone this holiday season, Uncommon Goods is the perfect place to go. Click the link at the top of the description to get 15% off your order. And thank you so much to Uncommon Goods for sponsoring this video. Now back to the review. Apparently Edward is only a vampire in his face, at least in the scene where he meets Bella in the biology classroom, as his face is painted gray, but his neck and ears are not. It's even more apparent as he's leaving the classroom. This happens throughout the film at various points, with Edward and other vampires, including, notably, Esme, when Bella meets the Cullens. You can see a dark line near her hairline, which is where the makeup stops short.
No way, yeah, yeah.
A boom mic appears in the truck windows in 2 separate shots in this movie. When Edward opens the door for Bella, a Mike and crew member can be easily seen. The log truck seen driving right to left in front of Bella and Charlie while stopped at a traffic light has no driver. Kinda weird. So this universe has ghosts as well as vampires and werewolves.
Is it possible that everything is true? The fairy tales and horror stories?
Also, what? Twilight Fast and the Furious? Edward can drift? Like, what?
What the hell? Oh my god. He's a crazy driver.
How come none of this stuff stuck in my brain when I watched it for the first time? And you know Patches from Dark Souls? You know that weird like crouch stance that he does? It's kind of a meme. It's like this. He like stands like this. He like does this, right? He crouches like this. It's kind of goofy looking. Edward does the same shit in this movie.
We learn to control our thirst.
He's like a little kid up there. He's like, me and my mommy and my daddy are different.
And the climbing tree scene is so funny. Like a lot funnier than I remember. Holy shit, look at them go. You can see the harness pulling Edward's shirt up during the climbing, jumping, and flying scene when he says, "You better hold on tight, Spider Monkey."
Better hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
Imagine if she just fell off his back and broke her back.
The vampire cast worked with a dance choreographer and observed the movements of different large cats to help develop their physicality.
The way they jumped.
Author Stephanie Meyer was very involved throughout the filmmaking process, including being welcome to make notes on the screenplay and rough cuts of the film, and being invited to visit the set during shooting. She had said, "It was a really pleasant exchange between myself and the filmmakers from the beginning," which I think is not very typical. They were really interested in my ideas. They kept me in the loop, and with the script, they let me see it and said, "What are your thoughts?" They let me have input on it, and I think they took 90% of what I said and just incorporated it right into the script. Stephanie Meyer demanded one line, the one about the lamb and the lion, remain unchanged from how she had written it in the novel.
So the lion fell in love with the lamb.
She had said, "I actually think the way Melissa Rosenberg wrote it sounded better for the movie. But the problem is that line is actually tattooed on people's bodies." I said, "You know, if you take that one and change it, that's a potential backlash situation."
Sick, masochistic lion.
It's like he's laughing saying these lines.
Do you know how many people got that phrase tattooed?
Too many, probably.
So many. I was almost one of them.
What?
Nikki Reed had to break a bowl in the scene where Bella comes to the Cullen house for the first time, and can be seen wearing gloves in the scene because she had actually cut her hand performing the task.
It's just when the vampires like baseball.
Oh, this scene is epic.
They can only play during thunderstorms to block the sounds of them hitting the ball.
God, are you serious? They're that strong. You think they would just break the bats?
The main cast all practiced or learned how to play baseball for the infamous sequence, with Jackson Rathbone and Nikki Reed learning to do so left-handed, as their characters are apparently left-handed in the books. Now that's dedication. When Emmett calls out during the baseball game, he actually signals the safe hand gesture, so these vampires don't know baseball very well.
She'd never thrown a baseball, and we worked with her so that she really could, look amazing.
When Emmett and Edward jump up to catch a ball, you can clearly see them jump onto something, accompanied by the mysterious sound of a trampoline. Bella gets so mad when the evil vampires show up.
Okay, I've got it, I'm all right.
It's just a little strange. Like, she knows the Cullens and they're okay. So all vampires must be fine, right? These immortal people that drink human blood to survive. All of them must be perfectly fine and reasonable people. Like, hanging out with vampires is always going to be a risk. And for some reason, she trusts Edward, so she's like, "I love vampires. They're all really cool people." And true, the Cullens are pretty chill, but let's be honest.
As if, she never thought about this being a possibility. Hanging out with these people is always a risk.
She's never met a vampire before, Bernie. This is all new to her.
And I love this one scene of Emmett perched on the back of the truck, like a bird on a tree or some shit. Look at him.
It's just Emmett.
The climactic vampire fight is completely unique to the film, as the book is told from Bella's perspective, and she is unconscious during this sequence in the source material. Edward's impressive telepathic ability is established to work on everyone, except Bella, yet he didn't hear Victoria's during the 2 times she appears at the kids' prom. Maybe he was distracted. I have to admit, I do kind of understand the appeal of this franchise. It's interesting watching a love story between a vampire and a human.
It looks at you like you're something to eat.
Where they actually like each other, unlike Nosferatu and Dracula.
Dracula 1 and 2 are creepy.
So true, dude.
Because there's the obvious questions of how can they possibly be together, right? He's immortal, she's gonna age and die. He doesn't get diseases. He's been around forever. They're just so different. Clearly, these two people shouldn't work, right? But against all odds, they're just too sexy, dude. They're both just too sexy. If you have a certain amount of sex appeal, I mean, anything's possible.
Like, imagine if Edward was ugly. This would be such a different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be really creepy.
Hot people privilege just working overtime.
Okay, let's talk about New Moon. This one is centered mostly around Bella and Jake's relationship, and I didn't find any of that all that compelling.
The story about the cold ones.
New Moon performed exceptionally well at the box office, reaching a theatrical release gross of $700 million, with only a budget of $50 million. Stewart and Pattinson were each reportedly paid $12 million for this film, 6 times what they were paid for the previous entry. MTV apparently loved this movie because it won MTV Movie Awards of 2010's Best Movie. Robert Pattinson won Best Male Performance, and Kristen Stewart won Best Female Performance. It also won the Best Kiss. The American premiere took place on November 16, 2009, during a literal new moon phase in the lunar cycle. Do you think they planned that? They probably did, right? When Alice and Jasper are walking away from Bella and Edward, after Alice wishes her a happy birthday, Bella references being affected by Jasper's mood-altering ability when she says, "Hey, Jasper."
No fair with the mood control thing.
This doesn't make much sense considering Bella is revealed later in this film to be a shield, and is therefore immune to mind-altering abilities, until you take into account that Jasper's ability apparently affects the hormones, which alter mood, not the mind. Whatever. While Jasper loses control at the drop of Bella's blood in this film, in the climax of the previous film, Bella's arm is seen bleeding profusely after being attacked, but for some reason, this time, Jasper isn't bothered by it. So the Cullens live in Forks, Washington, and in the beginning of the movie, they leave Forks, because some people are growing suspicious of them.
I'm watching you, motherfucker.
Edward believes that he's keeping Bella safe by lying to her and brutally dismissing her and breaking up with her out of nowhere, and then vanishing. Yeah, I'm sure she'll be fine, dude.
I'm coming.
Do not come. Do not come.
I don't want you to come.
I'm gonna come.
You don't.
I'm gonna do it!
Instead of the film's first shooting location of Portland, this film was shot in Vancouver, Canada, which was a location considered for the first film, due to its lush forestry and often gloomy, overcast weather, and because it made for higher production value. They show us this time lapse of her struggling for months with depression, and she becomes an adrenaline junkie because she believes if she puts herself in harm's way, then Edward will pop out of nowhere and save her. When Jacob is teaching Bella about the motorcycle, he shows her the right handbrake as the primary brake. This is actually the front brake, while the rear brake is at the right foot. If you were to use only the front brake while at high speeds, the bike would flip. So Jacob is kind of a poser biker in this movie.
I'd never ridden a dirt bike before in my life.
The scene where a dying Bella is sinking underwater was going to be shot by filming Stewart sink to the bottom of a pool with weights in her pockets. Stewart was understandably nervous at the thought of this, so director Chris Weitz decided to show her there was nothing to be worried about by performing the stunt himself. What a Chad. He immediately panicked once he hit the bottom, instantly removed the weights, came back up and said, "We can't do that to Kristen." Instead, they achieved the effects of her sinking by filming her sideways and pulling the camera backwards. There's this kid that goes to school with Bella and he has a huge crush on her. He asks her out on a date to the movies, so she says yes, and then invites some other people with them. He doesn't like action movies, but goes anyway because he likes her that much. And then Jacob threatens to beat the shit out of him for practically no reason.
You're my problem. Maybe you need to go to the hospital.
Want me to put you in the hospital?
You want me to put you in the hospital?
Like this poor guy. And this is the same guy that Bella said no to when he asked her to the prom, only for her to go anyway with Edward. This poor motherfucker, I swear. The vampire versus werewolf rivalry is lightly touched on in this movie.
What are we?
Werewolves, not werewolves.
We get to see the Volturi for the first time. They're like the royal family in the vampire world. Their job is to like keep their coven safe and hidden by forcing all vampires to abide by their rules. You see, nobody knows that they're vampires, despite their bright red eyes, and despite the fact that they dress like they're from the Victorian era.
Would you like a spot of tea? Yes.
Hilariously, Edward attempts to break the code to get himself killed by revealing his twinkly skin to a bunch of people. Based on how he looks in this movie, I'm not sure if it's described differently in the books, but I'm positive the people passing by would just look at him and be like, wow, what a weirdo, and keep walking. No one would care. They might think he looks a little weird, that he's glowing kind of strangely, but no one would care. Shiny pale gamer skin? That's a no-go. Bright ass red eyes? Nobody will notice. The plane that Bella and Alice take to Italy is shown to be a Virgin America airline, which, as the name suggests, does not fly to Europe. Edward is seen breathing heavily due to exertion from his fight with Felix, when the latter has him by the neck. It's been established in this universe that vampires don't need to breathe, so that's kind of strange. The height between Bella and Alice changes throughout the film, most likely due to the filmmaker sometimes trying to be more accurate to the source material, as in it, Bella is taller than Alice. In reality, Kristen Stewart is the shorter of the two. The cinematographer for this movie, Javier, I can't say that, opted to shoot in film instead of digitally, and used various different types of cameras and shooting styles to help portray the various relationships of Bella's. They used a handheld when Bella's with her friends and schoolmates, a smooth organic Steadicam for her scenes with Jacob, and an extremely controlled camera on a dolly going in straight lines to shoot Bella and Edward's perfect relationship. Inspired by Italian paintings, director Chris Weitz wanted this film to have a warm golden color palette, as opposed to the dominating blue tones of the previous film. He also decided to use minimal red in the film until the climactic scenes in Italy, where he wanted a sea of red. When red was used prior to this, it was muted to make it much more dynamic and impactful when it appears in full color at the end with the Volturi. Tippett Studio handled the digital animation of the wolves. Making them look real was the main priority. Animators studied the actions and behaviors of Arctic and timber wolves in person at the Wolf Mountain Sanctuary. When animating them, they altered certain elements of the wolves' bodies, such as their height and fat, to better illustrate leadership and human musculature. On set, actors and crew worked with scale-sized cutouts of the wolves that were digitally replaced with Tippett Studios' digital creations in post, allowing the retention of the actors' original performances. The actors cast to play the other Quillet members of Jacob's pack had to have legal paperwork proving their Native American heritage, which I think is really cool. It lends to some authenticity. Michael Sheen, who plays the leader of the vampires, Aro, also portrayed Lucian in the Underworld franchise, who was the leader of that film's universe's werewolves. The movie ends hilariously with Edward asking Bella to marry him, as if it's like this preposterous proposal.
Marry me, Bella.
Jake, I love you.
What's that?
Her Discord alpha, making sure that his kitten is okay.
What?
As if they aren't madly in love with each other. Oh my god, what if she says no? What's she gonna say? I know, he's a vampire, so it's not like a regular marriage. It's very scary. Now let's talk about Eclipse. As director Chris Weitz was still working on post-production for New Moon when production was to begin for its sequel, Eclipse, director David Slade was brought in to helm the third film in the franchise.
This is Mr. Slade, the director of Eclipse.
Prior to his involvement, director David Slade had said he wouldn't go near the Twilight franchise. Later, when he was brought in to direct Eclipse, he backpedaled and said that he was merely joking, probably because of the money.
I guess I'm trapped here all night. With all this moolah.
Eclipse cost a little more to make, but made slightly less. But it was still a successful movie. MTV also sucked this movie's dick. MTV Movie Awards gave it the best movie. MTV MA gave it best female performance, best male performance for Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson respectively. It also won Best Kiss and it won Best Fight. What? All right.
Go get him, honey. Go get him.
This movie, it's not great. There's so many backstories on random characters that do very little to drive the plot forward. Peter Murphy, who plays the Cold One, was the lead singer of the band Bauhaus, whose short-lived success in the late 70s and early 80s is often credited as creating the goth rock music subgenre. Their single Bela Lugosi's Dead was responsible for igniting much of the interest in vampires that has become a staple of the goth culture. Jacob is creepy as hell with Bella.
And I want you to choose me instead of him.
He kisses her without permission. Taylor Lautner can be seen briefly laughing in the scene where Bella punches him after he kisses her. This was unintentional. Lautner could not keep himself from laughing during each take, and yet he could keep a straight face through the Dream Dream song scene in The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl 3D. Something's not adding up.
Dream, 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 dream.
He tries to gaslight her into loving him. He's one of those, I won't take no for an answer guys.
Hey, I'm an alpha. I get protective of my princess. It's in my DNA.
And it's so creepy. The fact that there was even a Team Jacob in the first place makes me question a lot of people's judgment. Like, what the fuck? I know Edward is kind of weird too, right?
Let's get to the plan. Walk to the hot dog store. Where is the man with the hot dog?
But Jacob? Most of the time, the wolves were digitally animated and added to the scene. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. But there was one notable scene with Jacob and Bella where Taylor Lautner donned a gray suit, reportedly used to prevent lighting issues that could have been caused by Lautner's skin tone, to stand in for his own CGI wolf on set. And Kristen Stewart's like literally patting him on the head. The whole Jacob kiss me scene between Bella and Jacob was just ridiculous.
Kiss me.
What? Wow, if I was Edward, I'd be so pissed. Like, Bella cares about Jacob, and she doesn't want him to go and, like, kill himself or something.
Maybe I'll get myself killed and make it simple for you.
No!
Because he has crazy anger issues. So she's like, hey, if I just let him make out with me, then everything will be fine. Wait, what? Edward is not too far away from them, so he like sense it happening, and he can even read Jacob's mind as they're making out. And after it happens, he's far too understanding of this blatant cheating. Like, it didn't bother him at all. Holy shit, dude. That's a little weird.
I love you more.
I know.
Also, the cuck scene in the tent is hilarious. They're all chilling in this tent, right? And it's very cold. But Edward can't help the love of his life who's freezing to death because his body doesn't produce heat. Not like Jacob's can. So you know what that means. She's gotta get all cuddly with the wolf man. Carlisle and Esme fight an unnamed enemy vampire, whom they presumably kill by throwing to a leaping wolf. In the next scene, after Victoria quickly tries to flee, right when Jacob arrives, you can see the same unnamed enemy vampire running in the background, unharmed. There's this evil vampire named Victoria, and she goes around making newborn vampires. One of them is in love with her. I didn't care about any of that. Yeah, the whole Victoria and the newborn vampires versus the good vampires and werewolves was kind of boring to me. Vampire Victoria actress Rachel Lefevre, how the fuck do you say that name, dude?
Rochelle Lefevre.
Vampire Victoria actress
Rochelle Lefevre
was replaced by Bryce Dallas Howard for this film. Summit Entertainment stated this was due to scheduling conflicts, though Lefevre was outspoken about how she was stunned and greatly saddened by being replaced. Howard had been approached to play Victoria in the first Twilight film, but turned it down because it was, at the time, too small of a part, according to the film's director, Catherine Hardwicke. God damn, I don't think she deserved it in this movie then. You know what I mean? Like, let Rachel keep it. Jeez. Bite her head off? The filmmakers considered casting Channing Tatum and Tom Felton in the role of Riley. God, I wish it was Channing Tatum, dude. That would have been so good.
That's Channing Tatum, dude. What the fuck?
Overall, this is a very boring movie, and I will never be watching it again. Breaking Dawn, Part 1. This movie starts with Jacob taking his shirt off in the rain. Great. Jacob is just as moody and annoying in this movie as he is in the others. Then we get to see Bella and Edward's wedding, their honeymoon, and then the pregnancy.
Carlisle, I swear something just moved inside me.
The budget for this movie was much higher than the others at $127 million, and the theatrical release gross was not too much higher than the others at $712, but it was still a successful movie. But goddamn, dude, that RT critic score at 26%, Jesus, critics hate these movies, man. It's funny because with like every single movie, the RT critic score and the audience score are so different. Very surprisingly, the MTV Movie Awards gave this movie Best Movie of 2012, as well as Best Kiss, but Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson were not given Best Actors, so that's weird. Edward's story takes place, and I quote, a few years after Carlisle created him, which was established as happening in 1921, meaning the story takes place in the early to mid 1920s. The film, Bride of Frankenstein, featured prominently in the flashback, came out in 1935, a decade or more after the sequence takes place. There's a pretty cool nightmare scene of Bella worrying about what she might do when she turns into a vampire. She imagines the corpses of the bodies of her loved ones piled up below her. I didn't remember this scene at all, and I was pleasantly surprised that there was some artistic integrity in this movie. This is a pretty neat dream. At one point, Bella is shown carrying her bouquet as she walks up the aisle at the beginning of her wedding. The bouquet disappears in the following shot and is not being held by anyone else, so just kind of vanished. According to Stewart, keeping the dress a secret was a massive priority. Not only was she kept in a room under a Volturi cloak when she wasn't filming, the set was heavily secured, surrounded by police officers. A helicopter flew above to survey all activity, and tarps and umbrellas were used to prevent any potential shots from above. As expected, Bella's wedding dress was turned into a prime merchandising opportunity. Alfred Angelo became the exclusive licensed manufacturer of the replicated dress. I wonder how many people bought that dress. Let me see if it's still online. Oh, I found it. Online, it says the dress is $849. I guess for a wedding dress, that's not too bad. Edward and Bella's wedding rings can clearly be seen as they take the taxi during their honeymoon. When they exit the taxi, the rings, which are of great significance in this film, are absent.
You liar!
And continue to be so as they walk the streets of Rio. Bella is shown shaving her legs soon after she arrives on the island for her honeymoon. So she had hairy legs for the wedding then. That's hard to believe. Unless she was trying to make Jacob jealous.
Shark Boy was completely alone.
There's the really funny scene of Edward destroying their bed when they bang.
Wow, there are big things to figure out here. Sex for the first time.
During the chess game, Edward passes his pawn on g3, while Bella keeps hers on g5. The only way this could have happened is if Edward performed an illegal move and jumped over Bella's pawn.
It's illegal!
Maybe she doesn't know how to play chess, and he's kind of like faking it, you know? Yeah, this is totally how this piece moves. There's this super cheesy scene of Jacob as a wolf standing up for himself against Sam. Sam is this other werewolf guy. We hear what they're all thinking as wolves, and the voiceover is so bad.
I am the grandson of a chief!
I have the power of God and anime on my side!
Wait, Vampire eye colors change depending on how and when they've last fed. There's a moment when Emmett says that none of them have fed in weeks.
No one's hunted for weeks.
But this is strange because he has golden eyes when he says this. It takes them way too long to realize that Bella's vampire fetus might be sucking her dry like a tick from within.
The fetus isn't compatible with your body. It's too strong.
So maybe she should try drinking blood for her child, right? Because her child is feeding off of her and is part vampire. I love the scene when they named their baby. It's so dumb.
Renesmee.
Renesmee, really? Kind of rivaling Elon and Grimes, to be honest.
First of all, my partner is the one that actually mostly came up with the name.
Congratulations to her.
Yeah, she's great at names.
She's great at names.
If it's a boy, I'd wake him. That's what you can name it. So the werewolves can't let Bella's pregnancy slide. So their plan is to kill her and the baby. Very chill, guys. Edward's willpower to stop from feasting on Bella when he literally bites open her amniotic sac is insane.
This looks yummy.
Like, what the fuck? I don't think this man is actually a vampire. He must not have that urge. When Jacob learns that Bella's dead, his acting isn't bad at all. I was honestly surprised. Like, goddamn, dude. He put on his acting chop pants for this scene. Robert Pattinson's acting, on the other hand, could definitely be better in some of his scenes.
Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on!
When they learn that Bella might have been killed by the baby, they go on a mission to kill the child. Jacob protects it from Sam and the rest of his pack.
You played us!
He's turned a new leaf. And the fight between the Cullens and the werewolves is so bad. I love the part when Jacob jumps out of the house to join the fray.
Stop!
Let's replay that leap he does a few times in all its glory.
Stop!
When Bella wakes up as a vampire, the transformation applies makeup to her face, and it's just silly. The makeup just gets applied. What? Like, I get becoming a vampire is supposed to make you prettier somehow, but makeup? An animatronic was used to depict Edward and Bella's newborn baby, Renesmee, and it's not obvious at all. Look at that little freak.
Brother,
So the character is meant to age extremely rapidly, so Condon later revealed that primary Renesmee actress Mackenzie Foy's face and expressions would be digitally added to the various actresses portraying her at different stages of her life. I don't think it was all that successful. She looks creepy as hell. Jacob imprints on Bella's baby, which is very weird.
You would do anything, be anything she needs.
Would you do me? I'd do me.
Earlier in the same movie, when they reference imprinting, it's shown to the audience as like this romantic bond. So, yeah. And I know that's something that Edward is upset about when he learns of it.
They just look at each other like, damn, this is awkward.
And obviously, this is like a point of contention in the movie between the characters. They're like, oh my God, he can't imprint on a baby. That's weird. Because they don't really understand what imprinting is. It just would have been better if they showed it to the audience that imprinting wasn't just romantic. Right? Like show us an imprint between a brother and a sister or something, and then tell us that it's just like this need to protect someone. That would be fine, but no. Bianca, the Volturi's secretary, is seen being forcefully taken away by two of their guards in the mid-credits sequence. Twilight vampires have been well established in the books and films to have superhuman strength, therefore making this second guard in this scene completely unnecessary. Breaking Dawn Part 2 had a budget of $136 million and a theatrical release gross of $832 million. So it's safe to say that every single film in this franchise was very successful, at least financially. Critically, not so much. Hilariously, the MTV Movie Awards gave this movie only one award, and it's the Best Shirtless Performance Award for Taylor Lautner. What the fuck?
What the hell are you doing? Jacob?
It's about to get lit. Twilight.
I hope they don't put that in.
When Bella is running through the woods, utilizing her newly obtained super speed, we see a dandelion blooming instantly. Events around them should slow down, not speed up, so that's weird. It still looked cool, I guess.
She's gonna give him the craziest hand job and fastest hand job he's ever had.
Oh.
When Jacob tells Bella that he imprinted on Renesmee, it's so funny. Jacob gave her daughter the nickname Nessie.
From the beginning, it was Nessie who wanted me there.
And this pissed Bella off for some reason.
You named her after the Loch Ness Monster!
That's what you're mad about?
Nessie? You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
That was so dumb.
In this movie, we're introduced to 1,000 new vampires. Oh my God, they're everywhere. This movie's all about the Volturi versus the Cullens. The Cullens travel all around the world trying to find people to support their cause. They introduce all of them to Robert and Bella's CGI-faced freak-ass daughter. After the vampire Alistair arrives, Edward enters the scene to tell Carlisle that 18 vampires have arrived. Directly after this, Bella says,
We opened our home to 18 vampires.
This is wrong, because when you include Alistair, the vampire count should have come up to 19. Huge mistake. The two leather-wearing Russian vampires are so funny. Their accents are incredibly fake and over the top, but I still love them.
We heard the Volturi were moving against you. We do not care what you did, Carlisle.
We do not care what you did, Carlisle. Why do you say it like that?
Carlisle.
Carlisle.
What is the matter, Dennis?
Mr. Robot is in this movie, and he's a waterbender. He's a water-bending vampire. The speed limit sign when Bella is driving on the highway from Seattle reads 80 kilometers per hour, which is weird because kilometers are never used to mark speed in the US. The fight between the Volturi and the Cullens is actually pretty entertaining, while also being pretty goofy. It's surprisingly a lot more violent than I remember. Carlisle gets his head ripped off, wolves are tortured and killed, one falls to its death, Jasper is murdered as Alice watches. It's then revealed to us that all this happened in Alice's head because she has this power to like see the future of things that might happen. It's a very effective bamboozle, I must admit.
Oh, damn! I don't remember that happening.
And I completely forgot about it for some reason. So when it happened when I was rewatching the movie with my wife, I was completely caught off guard.
What? No fucking way none of that happened. I did not remember that. No fucking way.
Get him.
Showing us that what we just saw take place was what Aro was watching while he was touching Alice was actually pretty clever. It was a great way to put us on the edge of our seats.
Goodbye, Jasper.
Unless this happens in the book and you already knew it was gonna happen, I didn't read the books, sorry. Then you're probably sitting back like super shocked that all these people are dying, you know?
The wolf dying is so much sadder than like the other people dying.
Series screenwriter Melissa Rosenberg said the biggest challenge developing the scripts was the final fight sequence, saying, "The final battle battle sequence is a big challenge because it lasts 25 pages. It's almost an entire 3-act story in and of itself. You have to track hundreds of characters. It's an enormous challenge to choreograph on the page, and for Bill Condon to choreograph on the stage. The next big hurdle is to sit down with the stunt coordinator and create the ballet. It's a lot of work. I'm exhausted, but we're intent on making them the best scripts yet. Stewart was elated to be done playing Bella, saying that after shooting her final scenes while in the Caribbean with Pattinson, she felt like she could shoot up into the night sky and every pore of her body would shoot light. She felt lighter than she's ever felt in her life. Pattinson could relate, saying that the last day was amazing and that every difficult moment just vanished. Man, these two were just done with Twilight at this point. I get that it's a lot of work, but...
It's funny, I try not to bring this up, but there was a swear jar that was like to the brim. And so on that level, I would have to get it together.
You know how a lot of the time, the cast and crew will celebrate at the end of the movie, and there'll be lots of emotion, lots of people crying that it's over? It seems like in this case, they were celebrating. At least internally. Visual effects supervisor Eric Levin had this to say on working with director Condon on creating the CGI wolves for the final entry. It's a subtle balance of just how anthropomorphic these wolves are. Bill wanted to make sure that we had a sense of the human or the shapeshifter in there. Finding that balance of how much of a human performance versus an animal performance was important for Bill. He has always treated the wolves as characters and never as computer-generated things, and directs them in the same way he'd direct any actor. He would always give us direction, like Sam should be angrier. It's the best way to work. His treating these creatures as characters instead of just computer bits was really great. That is awesome and all, but I mean, to me personally, they just look like big wolves, you know? I don't see any human element in there at all. Is that just me? I don't know. There's a moment when Aro reads Edward's mind, so he, Aro, should have known that Edward, and by extension the Cullens, has revealed himself as a vampire to at least one human, since Charlie knows of Renesmee. Earlier in the film, it's implied that he's being let in on their existence, after meeting his granddaughter who has rapidly aged, and after seeing Jacob transform, which is such a hilarious scene, by the way. Poor Charlie, man. Jacob brings him out to the middle of nowhere, and he's like, hey dude, guess what? I'm actually a wolf man. I'm not sure how Charlie didn't just immediately lose his mind after this happened, but yeah. Also, a pretty insane thing for Jacob to do, by the way. Revealing a vampire to a human is a massive crime in the Twilight vampire world and would provide plenty of motive for Aro and the Volturi to want the Cullens dead, but he never mentions this. Aro goes flying backwards a fair bit after Alice kicks him, yet he somehow lands right back with the Volturi instead of far behind them like he should have. There's a moment when Aro hits Bella so hard, he somehow managed to change her high heels into boots in between shots. The very end of this movie is honestly pretty cute. Bella learns how to lift her veil. She has this power to make it so people can't use their powers on her. She can even force it outward onto others to protect the people that she loves. But yeah, Bella learns how to lift her veil that stops Edward from reading her mind, so he can read her thoughts for the first time, as if he really needed proof that she loves him. But still, it was a nice way to end the series.
So fresh.
During the scene in the meadow at the end of the film, for some reason Bella and Edward are not sparkling in the sunlight like they should be. Showing the text from the book at the end was pretty cheesy and unnecessary.
It's the last page of the book.
That's kind of cringe.
It's for the real fans.
I also think it's pretty dumb that Bella had this dormant ability to shield herself from vampire powers, even while she was human. Like, what? Whatever. Overall, it's a pretty fun movie, but I think there's maybe a little bit too many new characters introduced. The film adaptations of the equally beloved and despised series resulted in its fair share of controversy, aside from what spawned from the source material, as they didn't shy away from also romanticizing toxic relationships, as well as encountering allegations of cultural appropriation with indigenous Americans and depicting the sexual content that resulted in the banning of the book series in some countries. Taylor Lautner's casting as an overtly Native American character received criticism when it was revealed he is actually mainly of German, Dutch, and French descent. Despite looking the part, Lautner has stated that he is only distantly Native American. This wasn't the only drama Lautner dealt with that his co-stars didn't. He was also extremely sexualized after his physical transformation for the Twilight Saga New Moon. And while the films from then on loved showcasing the actor shirtless and wet, oh boy, oh baby, it wasn't just the filmmakers who exploited the then only 17-year-old actor. It seemed like the whole world was making a big deal about this guy's body.
You're out in the woods, Shirtless, of course. Shocking.
Yes.
Still a minor at the time, Lautner was featured in a wet t-shirt on a cover of Rolling Stone magazine in December of 2009, and many people found this wrong, much to many people's justified disgust. The interview with him was even more exploitative, asking Lautner about his romantic life and even questioning his sexuality. The three leads, however, were each affected by the massive Team Edward / Team Jacob movement that seemed to overtake social media, publications, and merchandising during the film's series' peak popularity.
I don't have the strength to stay away from you anymore.
Years later, Lautner told Entertainment that the whole phenomenon was very strange, being in different cities and having thousands of screaming fans either take your side or the other guy's side, going on to say, "I was so young, I was 16 when Twilight came out, 17 for New Moon and Eclipse. I finished the franchise by the time I was 19. When it came to how this affected his relationship with actor Robert Pattinson, he said, like, we're a team. We're both just trying to make the best movies, but it was a little bizarre. There wasn't a competitiveness between me and Rob, but having that constant reminder, it definitely had an impact." In an interview with E! News, Lautner elaborated by saying, "I think it was awkward for the two of us to be standing together on a balcony and having 10,000 girls booing Rob, but then cheering me. But then this half is booing me and cheering him. But us having to have some sort of friendship, it was difficult." He continues on to say, "The thing about me and Rob is, we're just very different people. We never really connected on a deep level just because we're different humans. I think it was tough. I don't know for him, but for me, at least, especially at the age I was, you get your feelings hurt sometimes when you shouldn't, but it's hard not to," said Lautner. However, he has no ill will toward his vampiric co-star, saying of him, "He was always fantastic and the sweetest person ever." While Stewart and Pattinson haven't been as outspoken regarding the controversy surrounding the series, they were no doubt affected from the overnight fame and fortune. It's typical for movie stars to be put under a microscope, with their personal lives watched closely by fans and the media alike, but few other film franchises have been met with the kind of ravenous fandom that the Twilight saga had. Privacy was unfortunately not a luxury often provided to these three people, who weren't even old enough to drink in the States yet, and that's just it. It's impressive that these actors at a very formative time in their lives didn't buckle under the immense pressure put upon them, and were able to navigate the massive amounts of wealth and attention to go on to have mostly successful careers, in spite of the stigma surrounding their involvement in this franchise. So, did I read the Twilight books? No, I did not. But guess who has read the books? Fellow movie reviewer Amanda the Jedi. I asked her if she would be so kind as to feature in this video to tell all of you the major differences between the books and the movies. So without further ado, Amanda the Jedi, everybody.
And make sure to subscribe to her channel.
Her videos are great, and if you want more content to watch, she makes videos a lot more often than I do.
Okay, so Elvis called in an expert to talk about some of the differences between the books and the movies. And for the most part, things are pretty similar, just kind of cutting some scenes and adding other ones just to fit the runtime a little bit better and speedrun some necessary information. I will say they make the vampire reveal much more theatrical, and that was the right choice.
Say it out loud.
Before we get into some of the story-related changes, we gotta talk about the most noticeable changes early on, the money-making changes, which is most notably the Cullen family crest and the Quileute tribe tattoo. And both of these images were created purely to make a bunch of branded merchandise. Do not listen to anyone who says it's building out the lore, they are liars. It is so little Sally could go to school with her Alice Cullen crested choker. They made hundreds of items with these crests and tattoos on them. But hey, even I'm not immune, I bought the Cullen family Lego house. For the first movie, the biggest things left out is a lot of the interaction between Bella and Edward, so it doesn't feel so abrupt when she's like, "I don't care that you want to drain me dry, I love you." But by omitting those moments, we get some comedic gold, like the Cullens cooking dinner for her. Does she even like Italian? Her name is Bella. Making way for incredible lines like, "You better hold on tight, spider monkey, that's my monkey man," and of course, soon to be joined by, "Where the hell ya been, Loca?" The first movie also adds a lot more of the nomad baddies. Instead of actually seeing them kill people like we do in the movie, the book just kind of builds them up in the background until they show up. And that also carries over into Eclipse, where we see a lot more of Victoria's newborn army doing things compared to the books. The books also have a lot more on the character backgrounds, and while I am so glad that we got Rosalie murdering a bunch of men in a wedding dress, we don't get Alice's backstory.
I was a little theatrical back then.
She has no memory of her human life, which James starts taunting her with in that first book. And that's because in her human life, she was sent to an asylum because of these premonitions she was having, and those premonitions eventually started showing her being hunted down by James. Yes, the James that was tracking down Bella was also trying to hunt down Alice when she was a human decades ago. It's all connected. She ends up turned into a vampire by somebody who worked at the asylum, so we can't get to her, but she doesn't have any memories of that happening because of the treatment she was receiving as a human. Could literally have an entire book just about that. There was lots of changes in Alice, actually, like toning down the clear love and romantic tension between between her and Bella, but I digress. I'm pretty sure the movies also omit Esme's backstory, which is a bit weird. She actually remembers Carlisle when she broke her leg at the age of 16, then tries to kill herself 10 years later because of an abusive husband before Carlisle turns her. Why do we have to keep setting things up with people being underage, Stephanie? Which will conveniently slide us right into those Jacob changes. While still often very shitty in the movies, he is horribly manipulative in the books. To the point that I don't understand how anyone was Team Jacob, both because he's a jerk and because he's annoying as hell. I get that Bella's clinging to him like a lifeline and that's not great, but the stuff he pulls is horrible. And how people condone some of his actions are actually the worst part. Like Charlie was all for him forcing a kiss on his daughter when she broke her hand in the book. He literally said, "Good for you, kid." And all that bullshit just to have Jacob imprint on her child. Which Stephanie can try to maintain as it not being like that as much as she wants, but the other side of that is always, until they're older. Which is just grooming, guys. She tried to talk up the fact that it was just like a protector side of things, except the most viable theory, which is in the illustrated guide that she would have been a part of, is that imprinting is designed to establish strong offspring for shifters. Say it's not inherently sexual all you want, but you're never gonna see a shifter match with someone of the same gender.
Is there no rhyme or reason at all, which is what they start to wonder by the end of Breaking Dawn.
It's also pretty unhinged in the Breaking Dawn book how quick Edward starts to think of Jacob as his son, as in son-in-law, because he knows he's gonna hook up with his kid at some point. Oh my god.
She knows. She knows.
But the biggest direct change of any plot point in all of these books compared to the movies is the final fake-out battle in Breaking Dawn Part 2. That does not happen at all in the books. The Volturi literally just leave when the Cullens manage to provide enough evidence that Resume isn't a threat. They do kill Irina for bearing false witness and start to mobilize an attack while making a decision, but then they leave. I definitely understand why they make that change, because the way it happens in the book doesn't necessarily make for like a super exciting final climax of a major franchise. Because in the book, nothing's really happening. People are just trying to do these mental attacks while Bella's blocking it. But my god, did the girlies freak out in theaters. That alone was its own brand of cinema. You could probably make a documentary at the way people lost their minds before it was revealed that none of this was actually happening.
What the?
We do get a little bit more backstory from the hybrid that Alice finds, saying that the vampire that would have sired him considered himself like a scientist, and he was trying to create a super race. So that's a neat little area that never gets explored. But to close this out, not quite some changes, but a little bit of a different perspective, because there is Twilight from Edward's perspective, Midnight Sun. See the full stalker energy in motion, because he literally had to use grease on her window so it wouldn't squeak when he was breaking in to watch her sleep. The book is literally one of my favorite things. There's an entire chapter of him trying to figure out how to work his way through the biology class so he can kill her. Does he massacre the class so he can take some time with her and hope no one notices? Start with her and completely ruin his cover so she doesn't have to be afraid before she dies? Or just wait until she gets home? That's what's going on behind Stankface here. Then once he's actually into her, there's a lot of like horny thoughts, but it's still very much like Chase Victorian, I shan't touch the maiden. Juggling the desire for her blood with the desire for her body and where those lines blur? It's unhinged, but I genuinely love it. There's also some fun tidbits where Edward's basically like a vampire Dexter going around and killing bad people before he becomes a vegetarian, like he kills a serial killer at one point. But that's really it. There's not that many major plot point changes because it's not really that detailed. Back to Elvis.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for saving me from reading all these books. I very much appreciate it. So yeah, guys, that's gonna do it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of the Twilight movies or books in the comment section down below. And thank you so much to all my patrons that make videos like this possible. I love you. If you're scrolling up the screen right now, I appreciate you so much. You can join them if you would like. Just go to patreon.com/ElvisTheAlien. And while over there, you can enjoy a lot of cut content from this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
I'm coming.
I like it.
Good.
So fuck off.
I also want to mention that you can watch my videos on Spotify. The QR code on screen will bring you directly to my page. Thanks for the support.